Now on Coast TV News.
Patchy frost this morning for some inland spots. Otherwise, a sunny and cool day on the way for Delmarva. Otherwise, a nice warm-up heading into the Easter holiday weekend. Forecast details coming up.
Firehouse hate crime. We're getting reaction from Delaware lawmakers following the arrest of 2 firefighters in Millville.
Fix for beach bottleneck, that is what Delaware says is a part of a big project in Milton, the balance they are attempting to find between car and bicycle traffic.
Turbine plans trouble. Why Fenwick Island is hoping a court case in New York will help it block a wind farm project off of our coast.
This is Coast TV News Today.
And it is Thursday, April 17th, 2025. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
And good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us for our 5 o'clock hour.
And at this hour, Lisa, we're dealing with some colder temperatures, but it sounds like some of those frost concerns that we might have had are going to be limited.
Yeah, I didn't notice any frost on cars this morning, which is a good sign in mid-April.
Any care to share your thermometer temperature in your car? You're good.
You know what? I don't think I looked at it this morning. That's uncharacteristic of me.
I know.
Sorry,
that's why
Bob.
I asked.
I usually get to tell Bob the temperature when he already knows it.
Yeah.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Elisa and Matt. Good morning, Delmarva. Elisa, I was waiting for your weather report, your temperature. Oh no, what am I going to do? I know when I got in, it was around 40 degrees. We've dropped a couple degrees since then. It's around 38 in Millsboro, 34 in Salisbury, which is cold enough for some frost. But is the atmosphere moist enough for the frost? That's the question. 36 in Seaford. Could be a little frosty there in Redden as well. But along the coast, not seeing frost with temperatures in the low to mid 40s. The winds have gone calm, and that has allowed temperatures to fall into that frost range, 36 or colder inland areas. A little bit of a breeze at the coast, and the frost advisories are to our north and northeast. Baltimore back through Newcastle County. They have a frost advisory back into Jersey. That's where it's a little colder, where they are seeing that potential for frost. And once again, maybe a little bit of frost from Salisbury to Bridgeville, maybe Georgetown and Milford, possibly Millsboro this morning. Otherwise, clear, calm, and cool as we have high pressure building into the area. And with high pressure sliding in over the top of us today, that means lighter winds, thankfully. And it will be a cool day. So Futurecast has our temperatures in the 30s at 6 a.m. Once again, a little bit of frost inland areas, 40s at the coast, and then a gradual warm up, lighter winds today, lots of sunshine. A beautiful day, upper 50s to lower 60s as we go into the afternoon, around 61 in Salisbury and Millsboro and Milton as we go into the 4 o'clock hour. It's still pretty nice as we go into the 6 o'clock hours. It's still pretty light, but lighter winds today with lots of sunshine. We're going to have a nice warm up heading into the Easter holiday weekend. Complete details on that coming up in my full forecast a little bit later on.
All right, thank you, Bob. And we're getting a live look at the bright lights along the canal in Lewis on this cooler start to our Thursday. It's part of a big swing in temperatures that is common for this time of the year. And our top story this half hour is the frost and the potential damage it can cause for our farmers. Like many on Delmarva, Bennett Orchards was dealing with frost conditions about a week ago. And to protect their peaches, the farm has these new wind machines that start running when the temperature dips to 34 degrees. It keeps the air from rising, and even a little change in temperature can have a big effect.
At 27 degrees, you may see 10% crop loss. At 24 degrees, you might see 90% crop loss. Thus, every degree is critical.
And Bennett installed those wind machines last year, but it wasn't until last Tuesday that temperatures became cold enough to trigger them to operate.
Happening today, or at least it's scheduled to happen today, the Delaware Representative District 20 Democratic Committee is scheduled to hold its monthly meeting. This occurs while the state representative for this district, Stell Parker Selby, continues to be a no-show at Legislative Hall in Dover. Here's what their website looks like. We see that meeting announcement with a picture of Parker Selby. She's not attended one day of this year's General Assembly after stating in a letter she had a, quote, medical event. No votes on bills are on today's agenda in Legislative Hall.
Happening now, we continue to get reaction to an alleged hate crime at the Millville fire station. House and Senate leadership in Delaware are issuing statements about the arrest of 2 Millville firefighters. And here is what we have from House Democrats. No one, and especially not someone who puts their safety on the line to protect others, should ever be subjected to this kind of hateful or threatening behavior, end quote. And we're continuing our coverage of the situation. So here's what we've learned so far in Millville. 2 now former firefighters were arrested and accused of a hate crime.
Police say it happened at the fire station on Atlantic Avenue.
According to investigators, Jay Droney and Jordan Hastings, who were volunteers, chased a paid employee around with a rope tied like a noose. And according to the fire company, after that, more verbal harassment occurred and racist remarks were used.
This happened in February of last year, but the fire department says they didn't know about this incident until last week. The fire company says they immediately started an investigation and told authorities. Both Droney and Hastings are facing hate crime and conspiracy charges, which are felonies. They are also facing harassment charges. And the plans for Route 16 in Milton and the public response happening today. DelDOT will hold another public workshop for its plans on that roadway. The agency says improvements will make it safer and easier to drive on. DelDOT is currently working on studies they say aim to improve the flow of traffic and prevent any buildup. They also want to make that area more accessible for bikers and walkers. This is especially important ahead of the busy summer season as the major roadway leads to Delaware's beaches. Jim LaBella lives in Milton and says the in-person feedback helps a lot.
Just listen to someone talking, telling you what's going on so you have a better understanding as opposed to just what's on the board or what you see online. So I think the personal interaction helps a lot and does.
Locals can attend this morning's public hearing in person and virtually. That meeting takes place at 10:30 at the Milton Public Library.
This just in, Fenwick Island is looking at a New York court case to block the wind farm project off of our coast. The town is posting a recent decision against the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, stating the Trump administration is ordering the pause to a project that is set to happen in that state after, quote, serious differences and deficiencies in the Bureau's permitting process. The order also states that all of the agency's other projects are under review for the same reason.
Happening this afternoon, we will get a better idea about the upgrades to Delaware's 911 service. A demonstration of it is taking place this afternoon in Dover with Governor Matt Meyer in attendance. Callers will be able to stream live video and share photos. This allows first responders to get important information before arriving on the scene. The enhanced system will also allow for text translation and language support. Officials plan to upgrade all Delaware public safety answering points by next year.
This afternoon in Rehoboth Beach, we are expecting more details of the new Beach Patrol headquarters construction. It is a project that is running $750,000 over budget. During a presentation at the Mayor and City Council meeting from construction company Edis, one pending item under review is Delmarva Power's request for a temporary backfill prior to relocating the transformer. Also in that presentation are plans for bringing in HVAC equipment and final inspections and final steps on the outside, such as siding, landscaping, and sidewalks. According to city officials, we are less than a month away from seeing the patrol move in.
We are now taking a live look at the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. It was on Wednesday that Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen traveled to El Salvador in hopes of meeting with alleged MS-13 gang member Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was living in the state prior to deportation. He was denied that request as controversy over this case continues.
NBC's Alice Barr shows us that the White House is providing more details about the allegations while Garcia's family makes more denials.
The clash between the Trump administration and the federal courts reaching a new level, with one federal judge saying he'll start criminal contempt proceedings against the administration for willfully disregarding his order to halt last month's deportation flights to an El Salvador mega prison unless the migrants are given hearings to challenge the allegations against them. Judge James Boasberg writing the Constitution does not tolerate willful disobedience of judicial orders. The White House appealing overnight while providing new information about one of the deported men, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who Justice Department officials admitted was sent to El Salvador through an administrative error. The Supreme Court ruled the administration must facilitate his return, though the administration argues El Salvador would need to initiate his release.
All that would happen is one more step in paperwork and he would go right back to El Salvador because he is an MS-13 member.
The Justice Department released a 2019 document showing Maryland police linked Abrego Garcia to the violent MS-13 gang through what they called a reliable informant. His attorneys have called that testimony questionable, denying any gang affiliation. Abrego Garcia has never been criminally charged. He's been living with his family in Maryland. And one of the state's Democratic senators traveled to El Salvador yesterday and said he asked the country's vice president why he has not been released.
And his answer was that the Trump administration is paying El Salvador, the government of El Salvador, to keep him at CCOP.
Senator Van Hollen among those calling for a day in court. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
We're just getting started in this hour of Coast TV News today.
Yeah, coming up, Dogfish sent support what the brewery is doing to help a Sussex County land preservation cause.
Also, push for more books. We'll show you how Delaware lawmakers aim to ensure books stay on the shelves with new proposed policies.
And up next, from challenges to crowns, we'll show you the journey for one Delawarean who will represent the state in a national competition. All that and more as Coast TV News Today continues.
Anytime you get the opportunity to represent the state you live in, it's an honor, and that's what the subject of this week's Coastal Connection is doing. Amy Simonson is a pageant queen, but her journey to the crown, it's a little bit different than most. The pageant world is both serious and competitive.
Congratulations!
But for Miss Wheelchair Delaware, Amy Simonson, her journey to the crown started with a laugh.
And I jokingly said to my mom, how cool would it be if I was Miss Wheelchair Delaware?
That one offhand comment led to a whole lot of work and eventually a title.
I filled out the 30-page application.
30 pages?
It was a lot, and it was a little overwhelming, but filled out the application, got it sent in, and now I have a crown.
But her journey's not over. Simonson has her eyes on the Miss Wheelchair USA pageant coming up in July, and she's got a message that really resonates.
My platform is Change the Face of Beauty. I'm a photographer who offers free photo shoots to families and individuals who have disabilities. And my whole purpose on it is to try and change how society views us, that we are more than our disabilities.
Simonson wasn't always bound by her chair. She has spinal bifida and tether cord syndrome that caused partial paralysis and ultimately led to a partial amputation when she was in high school. That's a tough pill for anybody to swallow, but Simonson manages with an incredibly positive outlook.
In my family, we believe, and I was raised, that you can either be miserable in your circumstances or you can make the best out of your situation.
Before a wheelchair became a key component of her life, Simonson was the kind of person that got involved, and that hasn't changed. She's an active church member and even teaches Sunday school.
Just having that impact on the kids and everything, and seeing that, having that childlike faith really kind of brought me through everything, and having a purpose bigger than myself. Because if I allowed myself to only worry about me, I'd have been miserable.
While Simonson has faith in her heart, she's also got competitive spirit in her soul. She's already connected with other women that will be at the national competition, but make no mistake, she wants to win it.
We jokingly said we'll be best friends up until the pageant, until competition time.
And in her mind, the best way to do that is to raise awareness of mobility aids that differently abled people require.
Well, if there's not a way for us to get up into a building, we can't go to that business. We want to live normal lives. And just raising that awareness and that education is really like how I plan on getting far into the competition.
No matter the outcome of the competition itself, Simonson feels like her platform is a picture-perfect way to fight for equity in a community she already belongs to.
Time is 5:18, and here is our live look at the canal in Lewis. No frost there, Bob, but you're tracking at some possibility in the western part of Delmarva, western Sussex, Wycomico County. That's sort of where we might get those frost situations.
I think so, Matt. And if we do see the frost, it's probably very light and patchy, especially west of 113. The atmosphere is so dry. I mean, it's cold enough for frost, but, you know, do we have enough moisture in the air to see that? But that would be around Salisbury, Seaford, interior areas of Delmarva. They do have a frost advisory in the Baltimore area, up into Newcastle County and parts of Jersey as well, where it's a little colder, and that extends farther to our north and northwest. But for us, we're not officially under a frost advisory, but cold enough for that in Salisbury at 34. If you're at 36 degrees or colder, you definitely have a chance of seeing that. So Salisbury up to Seaford could be a little frosty, maybe around Redden as well, 34. But then farther east at the coast, not seeing frost. 44 in Ocean City, 43 in Bethany Beach and Rehoboth right now. As the winds have gone calm, a little bit of a breeze at the coast, but we have high pressure in place. That means clear, calm, and cold conditions. So this morning is the morning that we are concerned for that frost. And then after this morning, we should be in good shape as we're watching high pressure pretty much over the top of us right now as the winds have gone calm. That means a sunny day on the way and one last cool day before we have a big warm up. We're going to see high pressure move over us this evening and then slide offshore tonight. Then it gets really warm around this ridge of high pressure. Even seeing some storms across the plains. We're not going to see any storms, but a big warm up on the way. Once again, a touch of frost this morning on Futurecast at 6:30. Otherwise, by 9 a.m., it's upper 40s. By the 1 o'clock hour this afternoon, into the upper 50s. The winds lighter, so much more tolerable than yesterday where those winds were howling. 5 p.m., lower 60s from Selbyville to Millsboro and Salisbury, but cooler 50s at the beaches. Don't think we're looking at 40s, mainly 50s to around 60 at the coast. And then we go through the overnight hours into your Friday morning, Good Friday, and not as chilly with temperatures in the lower 40s, around 40 in some places, maybe 39 in a couple of locations. And then the big warm up is on through Friday with southerly winds kicking in by the afternoon, 60s and lower 70s, and even warmer into Friday evening and Friday night. And by Saturday morning, we're seeing temperatures in the 50s and low 60s. And look at this by Saturday. Wow, lower 80s, 81 to 83 away from the coast and a little cooler at the beaches. But it's going to feel like summer big time as we go into Saturday with a warm southwesterly flow. There is a cold front that'll drop in on Easter Sunday, cooling us off just a little bit. But the winds are much, much lighter today. We like that. And then they start to turn to the south and they start to pick up as we head into Friday and the weekend, ushering in that much milder air. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast, 62 today, and then 40 tonight, and then Good Friday, 71, mostly sunny. And there's the day that jumps out, Saturday, 82 degrees, maybe a stray shower as we go into Saturday night with a weak front, and then Sunday, 73 for your Easter Sunday, looking good there, and then relatively mild and dry into early next week. Congratulations to Gary Robinette from Greenwood, Delaware, on winning a new umbrella from Paul Davis and Coast TV.
Thank you, Bob. The ongoing controversy over books and accusations of bans now has the attention of Delaware lawmakers. House Bill 119, it's called the Freedom to Read Act, would require public schools and libraries to adopt clear policies for developing their collections while preventing materials from being removed solely because of an author's background, beliefs, or viewpoints. Supporters say the bill helps protect access and fairness.
We have a big lift to raise the literacy rates in Delaware, and of course libraries we support literacy across the lifespan.
Earlier this year, the U.S. Department of Education pushed back on allegations that removing age-inappropriate, sexually explicit, or obscene materials from school libraries creates a hostile environment for students.
Up next on Coast TV News today, Dogfish Sends Support will show you what the brewery used as inspiration for the new design of its new brew. Don't go anywhere.
Dogfish Head has a new brew with a purpose. Check this out. It's called Wild Bank. It's a German-style brew, and it's part of a partnership to help save the 4th Street Preserve in downtown Lewis. That is the last open space there, and the beer celebrates the area's wildlife, including the red fox.
Well, a viewer sent us that video of Buddy, the 6-month-old lab, singing along to the national anthem at the beginning of our show every morning. According to the owner, Carmen Kozer, he's been belting it out since he was 8 weeks old. And Easter is right around the corner, and you can start your Easter Sunday with music and meaningful conversation if you celebrate with Sunrise Sermons 2025, The Final Sacrifice. Services begin at 7 a.m. on Coast Country, 9:30 on the Delmarva Sports Network, and 10:30 right here on Coast TV. And Matt, if you went to the coast yesterday, the sun was beautiful. The wind was pretty brutal.
Yeah, I wasn't on the coast, but I could see that strong wind. I have a flag on my porch, and it was constantly blowing. I never recall it being limp at all.
It was beautiful in the sun. The sun was great.
The sun. Look, it was a good
Absolutely.
April day. It was a good April day, Bob.
It was a beautiful afternoon.
But once that sun went in, the clouds, and that wind was blowing, ooh, it cooled down. But we're in better shape today, guys, with the wind. It's much lighter, and we'll see a lot of sunshine out there. Fenwick Island and Ocean City starting out pretty cold, right around 40 degrees, but then warming into the mid to upper 50s later on. Remember to have the sunscreen. UV index is moderate. Lewis, you're into the upper 50s, so pretty nice weather for a ferry ride up to Cape May. Rehoboth, lots of sunshine for you, and temperatures into the upper 50s. On the Bayside, 1 to 2 foot waves here, and in Cambridge, after a chilly start, near 60 for you later today. Lots of sunshine for Crisfield, maybe a couple degrees cooler, but a big warm up heading into the Easter weekend. Much more on that coming up in my full forecast in the next half hour.
And after the break on Coast TV News today, Belmead back to the drawing board. We'll tell you why Sussex County officials are not sold on plans for more housing in Lewis.
Also, Millville hate crime accusation. What some Delaware lawmakers are now saying after the arrest of 2 firefighters.
And innovation to cover crops. We'll show you how one local farm is protecting those crops from the impacts of the cold. Coast TV News today. We'll be right back.
Now on Coast TV News.
Patchy frost this morning for some inland spots. Otherwise, a sunny and cool day on the way for Delmarva. Otherwise, a nice warm up heading into the Easter holiday weekend. Forecast details coming up.
Fighting frost, the unique method one farmer is using to protect crops during freezing temperatures.
Hate crime condemnation after we reported on the arrest of 2 Millville firefighters, the reaction from Delaware lawmakers on the alleged racist incident.
Land use limbo, the latest step in a Lewis battle between affordable housing and preserving land zoned as agricultural.
This is Coast TV News Today.
April 17th, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning. I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us.
Time is 5:31. Typical April day. We're expecting a big swing in temperatures from where we are now, from where we'll probably land in the afternoon.
I think April likes to keep us on our toes. It's spring one day, it's winter another day. It's kind of how it's been.
I prefer April over February, Bob. You know how I feel about those winter months, so you're not going to hear any complaints about any swing in temperatures from this side of the studio.
So you're telling me you don't miss the snow from February and the snow we had over the winter. Well, good morning, guys. We are looking at potential frost. Maybe there is enough moisture for frost and it's cold enough. Just checked my home station in Millsboro. 36 there, 35 in Delmar, 34 in Salisbury, 35 in Seaford. If there is enough moisture in the atmosphere, it could be frosty here. So hope you protected your plants. 34 in Redden. At the coast, we're looking at temperatures in the low to mid 40s. So no frost there because you have a little bit of a breeze, but inland areas, it's calm, it's cold, and it's clear. All those elements conducive for frost. There is a frost advisory for Newcastle County up through Baltimore, along I-95 and into southern parts of Jersey and north and west of there where it's colder. We do not have a frost advisory, but once again, maybe a touch of frost inland parts, interior parts of Delmarva as we have clear skies. That'll be the case all day. And with high pressure beginning to slide over the top of us, that means light winds. So that'll be nice. We get a break from those strong winds from yesterday. Here is Futurecast this morning. Maybe a little frosty interior areas with 30s and 40s. And then by mid-morning, we're warming up into the upper 40s. And then by noon into the 50s with light winds and sunshine. That'll feel good. And then flirting with 60 degrees around 2 p.m. and then into the lower 60s away from the coast by 4. And I think a little cooler at the beaches with 50s there, but lower 60s through the evening hours. For the kiddos at the bus stop this morning, they'll have to bundle up, sunny and chilly, and they may see a little frost inland areas, 36, and then this afternoon, a little warmer with sunshine, and it will be cool with lighter winds and around 57 degrees.
Thank you, Then our top story this half hour, it's another morning of tracking potential of April frost. We looked at data from the National Guarding Association, and here's what we found. The historical average of having frost for this date shows a 20% chance in Dewey Beach. It also shows a 20% in Georgetown and 20% in Frankfort.
Frankfort is also the home of Bennett Orchards. That's where peaches and blueberries are produced for the summer. Frost is a concern there, as it is for farmers all over Delmarva. Bennett's, they have these wind machines installed that start running when the temperature dips to 34 degrees. The wind it generates keeps the warmer air from rising, and last week's frost was the first time the machines were used, and they could be triggered again this morning. It just depends on the temperature.
Developing news in Delaware, we now have lawmaker response to an alleged hate crime at the Millville fire station. House and Senate leadership in Delaware are making a statement about the arrest following those accusations. House Democrats are saying, in part, quote, "No one, and especially not someone who puts their safety on the line to protect others, should ever be subjected to this kind of hateful and threatening behavior."
We're continuing coverage of the situation. This is what we've learned so far. 2 former Millville firefighters have been arrested. They're accused of a hate crime.
And police say it happened at the fire station on Atlantic Avenue.
And according to investigators, Jay Droney, Jordan Hastings, who were volunteers at the time, chased a paid employee around with a rope tied like a noose. And according to the fire company, after that, there was also a verbal harassment that continued and racist remarks were made.
And this happened in February of last year, but the fire department says they didn't know until last week. The fire companies say they immediately started an investigation and told authorities both are charged with hate and conspiracy crimes, which are felonies, as well as harassment. And from overnight, Belmead Farm in Lewis won't be rezoned for now. That's according to a decision from the Sussex County and Planning and Zoning Committee. Officials are voting down a request from developers to change the farm from an agricultural residential district to a planned commercial district.
And CoastTV News reporter Brendan Conroy shows us the concerns that led to the denial for this project.
Laura McNutt lives near Belmead Farm with her husband and 3 kids. She tells CoastTV with the farm being so close to a school, commercial development would have a big impact on their everyday routine.
There's already a lot of traffic, but even besides the traffic being that close, there would be added noise pollution with the additional traffic and with the commercial buildings. So there's just better options for that space being so close to the school.
Regina Ayers also lives nearby and agrees.
I have a friend that's a teacher that works right there at Love Creek, and it's 30 minutes for her to come out of that school to come around the corner here just because of the traffic.
Not everyone is against the project, though. Dr. Tam with BB Healthcare says this would have provided more affordable housing for medical staff.
No commercial space coming to Belmead Farm, at least not for right now. For CoastTV News, I'm Brendan Conroy.
Happening today, or at least is scheduled to happen today, the Delaware Representative District 20 Democratic Committee is scheduled to hold its monthly meeting. This occurs while the state representative for that district, Stell Parker Selby, continues to be a no-show at Legislative Hall in Dover. Here's what their website looks like. We see the meeting announcement with a picture of Parker Selby. She has not attended one of this year's General Assemblies after stating in a letter she had a, quote, medical event. No votes on bills are on today's agenda in Legislative Hall.
This morning, we should get a better idea about DelDOT's plan for Route 16 in Milton. DelDOT is holding another public workshop about this key highway that connects to Route 1. They say the project will improve traffic flow, especially during the summer season. In addition to all those cars coming from across the Chesapeake Bay, DelDOT says it wants to make this area more accessible for bikers and walkers. People can attend this morning's public hearing in person or virtually. It takes place at 10:30 at the Milton Public Library.
An update in Rehoboth Beach. Crews are in the final stretch of construction on the new Beach Patrol headquarters. The city says the contractor's
working to complete the project over the next 35 days.
And officials say some of the next steps include bringing in HVAC equipment and final inspections. The last steps on the outside include siding, landscaping, and sidewalks. And the city says that project is running about $750,000 over budget to meet that mid-May deadline.
New this morning in Georgetown, we should learn who will be on the ballot for next month's municipal election. Later today, Town Council will certify the candidates. Part of their responsibility is ensuring the candidates meet the requirements for the office they are running for. This meeting is at 5:05 p.m. and the town's election is scheduled for May 11th from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
We are now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. The fight continues to bring home a recently deported man out of Maryland who was taken to an El Salvador prison. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen has been in El Salvador since Wednesday in an effort to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. Senator Van Hollen met with the country's vice president on Wednesday and said on his social media that he was unable to see Abrego Garcia. The White House is now alleging that Abrego Garcia is a member of the MS-13 gang after saying he is deported was a mistake, and the allegation is something his family denies. A federal judge is now demanding answers about what the White House is doing to return him to the U.S.
And the U.S. courts have found that he was illegally taken from the United States, and the government of El Salvador has no evidence that he was part of MS-13. Why is El Salvador continuing to hold him in CCOT?
He is not coming back to our country. President Bukele said he was not sending him back. That's the end of the story.
A federal judge says they have found probable cause to hold the administration in contempt of court over some mass deportation flights in El Salvador.
Got a lot more news to get to. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up, Lewis Spring Cleaning concludes. We'll tell you where crews are conducting hydrant flushing in the city.
Also, Sussex baseball battle. We'll preview the Sussex Tech Cape game that will air tonight on DSN.
In temporary termination, we'll tell you what to expect from one of Zelke's locations in Sussex County. Stay with us on CoastTV News Today.
5:42 on this Thursday morning. Hershey exteriors cam showing brightening skies and a little chop out there. The wind is keeping you frost free along the coast, 43 in Ocean City. But anywhere it's 36 or below, inland areas could be seeing a touch of frost this morning. In fact, it's 32 in Redden, 34 in Salisbury. So have your ice scraper handy, a little milder at the coast. As we have calm winds inland, a little bit of a breeze at the coast. And we're looking at clear, calm, and cool conditions. Lighter winds today as high pressure settles in over us. So it's going to be a beautiful day, just a cold start. Today's checklist, you don't need the rain gear. You definitely need the ice scraper in some inland spots. Sunscreen, that's a good idea for today. The sun is getting stronger. Make sure you have a warm beverage and the sunglasses as well. And call the CoastTV First Alert weather phone. Another way to get your forecast, sponsored by Brockstead Mandalis Federico.
Thank you, Bob. If your child is in school, you know spring break is starting on Delmarva. Today is the last day of classes for many schools. Milford, Cape, and Indian River School District say their break starts tomorrow until April 25th. Wicomico and Worcester County schools also start tomorrow. However, students and staff have a shorter break and will return to class on April 21st.
We now want to clarify a story that we recently aired. It was about Zelke's Beach Arcade. We reported that the arcade is set to temporarily close its original location in Rehoboth Beach after 40 years. And we want to make it clear, Zelke's as a company is not closing. The Zelke's location at the north end of the boardwalk, located at 5 North Boardwalk, is set to close after this summer season. It's due to the One Rehoboth Avenue Hotel, but Zelke's tells us they hope it will only be one season until a new Zelke's is built in the same building where that north end location was. The Zelke's at 115 South Boardwalk will remain open, and so will the Zelke's in the Tanger outlets. We apologize for any confusion.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Yes, the top of the Henlopen North Division is on the line tonight. Let's preview our matchup over at Cape Henlopen High School. Sussex Tech is still flying high after winning the North and the conference title last season. The Ravens are 6-1 to start. Senior Sean Ely is coming off a shutout against Smyrna, where he struck out 13 Eagles in the win. On the other side, Cape Henlopen has steamrolled the competition. The Vikings are 7-0 with a run differential of 64 coming into last night's game. Kentucky commit Jace Mitchell highlights the lineup. First pitch is set for 4:15 this afternoon on DSN. Speaking of the Vikings, let's preview Season 3 of Into the Trenches. This time we're heading to the home of the Vikings as they embark on a new voyage in their 2024 football season. Let's take a peek.
The late run last season and then trying to explain that we're a different team.
You got to work harder
because you went to the state chip, because there's a target on your head.
Understanding the stresses that these kids are under it's a little bit unique for me.
The expectations are high.
You're gonna practice the way you play.
We can push even further this year and hopefully make a run for it again.
Into the Trenches, a new voyage. April 24th at 7:30 on the Delmarva Sports Network and DSN Plus. Sponsored by Preston Automotive.
That is just a week from today. We cannot wait. That over sports. Have a great day, everybody.
And here's what's coming up tonight on DSN, your game of the night at 4 p.m. Cape Henlopen hosts Sussex Tech in baseball, then catch the final score at 10:30. And over on the DSN Plus app, along with that game of the night, also at 4 p.m., Indian River against Gunston School in girls lacrosse. 3 girls soccer games to watch at 5:30. Lake Forest takes on Cesar Rodney. Milford faces Delmar, and Sussex Central plays Nandua.
Clear skies this Thursday morning, and we're looking at 40s at the beaches on the Dry Tech Cam in Ocean City. No frost there. Some patchy frost inland spots this morning. Have that ice scraper handy. Otherwise, a sunny and cool day and a nice warm up heading into the Easter holiday weekend and looking dry. I'll have your forecast details in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
The time is now 5:48, and we are taking a live look outside this morning. And Bob, it is a quiet scene right there in Ocean City. This morning, much cooler than yesterday morning. We were worried about some frost, not as bad as we maybe were thinking.
No, and we do not have a frost advisory officially, Elisa. And the question is if there's enough moisture in the atmosphere and enough dew to produce the frost. And if it is dewy enough, we will see the frost. But the official frost advisories are to our north and west. Baltimore up into Newcastle County in Delaware and parts of Jersey are under that frost advisory. That extends farther to the north and west too into Philly. Otherwise, for us, we do not have that frost advisory. That said, cold enough for frost now in Salisbury and Delmar at 34. Anywhere it's 36 or below, I think you have a good chance of frost. Ocean Pines, Milton, over to Redden and Seaford. Once again, that's if there's enough moisture in the atmosphere. We're in the lower 40s at the coast, and there's a bit of a breeze here, so no worries of frost there. A little bit of a breeze at the coast, but calm conditions inland conducive to that frost, along with the clear skies and the radiational cooling. All that heat from the land goes right into space with high pressure building in, and that's exactly what we have right now. And with that high over the top of us today, it means a chilly start, but a milder afternoon with light winds. Farther to the west, we have a warm-up building to the other side of this high, even some storms across the plains. We're not going to see that, but the warmth is building across the plains, and that will be headed our way as we go into the Easter holiday weekend. Here's Futurecast this morning. We're a little frosty inland spots with temperatures in the 30s and then 40s at the coast, but then that quickly melts off if there is frost, with temperatures into the upper 40s by 9 a.m. By 1 p.m., we're into the upper 50s. And note the absence of arrows. That means the winds are light for a change. Could get maybe a little breezy into the afternoon, but not bad. By 5 p.m., lower 60s from Berlin to Ellendale over to Delmar. Cooler at the coast. Don't know about 40s at Dewey Beach, but definitely 50s at the coast as we go through the afternoon. Then tonight, not as cold as we see high pressure sliding offshore. Maybe some upper 30s showing up, but mainly 40s as we start your Good Friday. And then as we go through the day, winds pick up out of the south, and it's mild by the afternoon with 60s and 70s, and then even milder into Saturday. Look at Saturday night, lows in the low 60s at that time and low 60s Saturday morning. And then by the afternoon, 83 in Georgetown, 83 in Long Neck. It's going to be toasty as we go into Saturday, 84 in Lewis. A little cooler from Mahomet down to Fenwick Island, but very, very warm for this time of year as we're seeing a southwesterly flow heading into the weekend. So we're looking at an excellent weekend, but it looks like one extra E in weekend there. But we're looking at mild conditions as we go into the weekend with lighter winds too as we go through the day, but those winds start to turn to the south as we go into Friday, ushering in that warmer air. Paul Davis 7-day forecast, 62, lots of sunshine today, down to 40 tonight, then 71 for your Good Friday, mostly sunny, 82 on Saturday, maybe even a little warmer in spots, maybe a stray shower Saturday night, but then Easter Sunday, I think we're looking dry for the Easter festivities and egg hunts and all that, 73, and then mild as we go into next week and staying dry. We're back into the 70s Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, Bob, I saw what you did there with excellent. Yeah, picked up on that. We have an update to a traffic alert in Georgetown. That says the emergency road closure of Cokesbury Road expected to reopen today. This is between Seashore Highway and Hastings Farm Road. That says the closure began due to a repair for a crossroad pipe.
Hydrant flushing on the coast working Lewis is already underway. According to the city, the BPW is expected to complete this project today, and crews will work beachside. The city is advising locals to wait to do laundry until their water runs clear.
We have a similar situation in Ocean City. The town says spring flushing, that begins April 20th, and it's going to start on South 1st Street. Crews will work overnight to complete the project. And it is reminding people in Ocean City to run faucets on cold if they notice discoloration.
And we're seeing lots of blue skies this morning. Chilly at the coast, 41 in Lewis right now. Maybe a little frosty inland spots, so have the ice scraper handy. Otherwise, a sunny and cool day and a nice warm up heading into the Easter holiday weekend. We're looking at 80s by Saturday and looking dry through Easter Sunday. Your 10-day forecast is coming up next.
It's 5:56 this morning and time to check in with our coastal pet of the day.
And today's coastal pet of the day is ready for Easter on your screen. Check out Esmeralda, patiently waiting for the Easter bunny. And this great picture was submitted to us by Tammy in Millsboro.
And we want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. Send us photos and tell us what makes them so special. You can take a look at your screen.
If you do that, you'll also see Esmeralda, along with that QR code right above Esmeralda there. And if you scan that, you can get your friends to us. And then you can watch weekdays from 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
And it's 5:56, so we're going to take another quick look at your forecast.
Bob, let's talk about a warmer afternoon.
Yeah, and I always tried the bunny ears on my golden retrievers, and they're like, no, I don't like these, so some dogs can tolerate them. We're looking at a chilly start, maybe a touch of frost inland areas, and then we do warm up today, lots of sunshine, lighter winds, and I think lower 60s away from the coast later today, around 62. Here's your Paul Davis 10-day forecast. Down to 40 tomorrow. I don't think we have to worry about frost. Good Friday, 71, mostly sunny. Saturday, 82, really toasty there. I think it's a little cooler, but it stays dry for Easter Sunday, 73. Then mild and dry Monday through next Wednesday. It looks like our next rain chances begin Thursday and then maybe linger into a part of next weekend.
All right, thank you, Bob. And coming up in our next hour, mounting Millville controversy. State lawmakers are now weighing in after former firefighters are facing charges in an alleged racial incident. That and more when Coast TV News Today continues.